doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly. I'm Tim Bass Buzz. I'm here with Canadian Glenn and Nolan Hack. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Music
Good afternoon.
Yeah, everyone should know now. I tweeted the show on time this time. I'm not tweeting it now while we're talking. That's pretty cool. So yeah, let's go through everything real quick. What's happening on the View up here, Glenn? I know you're on vacation soon.
Next week will be the premiere of season 10, which I never thought would ever happen.
Oh, you're not taking a vacation. You're going straight to the next season. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There's 2 provincial elections in the next 2.5 weeks in Canada, so that's what I'll be covering the next 2 weeks.
Cool. There's going to be elections? I'm trying to retweet from other accounts now, so I didn't really do what I said I did. I'm going to tweet it from...
It sounded good.
Tim is lost in a sea of Twitterdom.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, Nolan?
I didn't sleep last night, so...
welcome to my world.
Powering through, yeah. That's not an abnormality in the revolutionary world, but I will say this because Jerry Brown's going out of office. Who knows what's going to happen after that? And anyone who's listened to the show, anyone who's followed me or Tim, knows that Kevin Cooper is still in prison, has been for over 3 decades. The only reason he's in prison and on death row for a crime he did not commit is because he's black. And you can do something giant by just doing something simple. Just writing to Kevin. Kevin has said before that the support he gets from the outside keeps him going. He still suffers PTSD from his near execution in 2004. Please write to Kevin, learn about his case, savekevincooper.org, and you can type in the hashtag SaveKevinCooper, find more information about him and his case. Anyways, please write to Kevin Cooper. Mr. Kevin Cooper, next line, hashtag C-65304 space 4 EV-82. Next line, San Quentin State Prison. Next line, San Quentin, California, 94974. Please write to Mr. Kevin Cooper. You will be doing something amazing for him. And
hey, Nolan. Hey, Stuart's in the chat. Somebody on Twitter was asking if they could send art or cars. Did you respond to that? And also, can you tell the listeners what they can and can't send?
If the art can fit in a normal envelope, then they can send art, like a postcard or something drawn on a very small piece of paper or something thin enough to fit in an envelope. You can basically send anything in an envelope, normal envelope, that won't be construed as any contraband. There's very strict guidelines for people on death row. Kevin doesn't get to call out very often, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not even allowed to speak to him write to him or go see him. So just to add one more writing supporter to him, since I'm not allowed to write to him anymore, please write to Kevin.
When did that happen and why?
I mean, I have my own theories. One just being, this is not abnormal. People have been kept from prisoners before, especially on death row, especially if they're both black or people of color, because of the actions that I have done for Kevin. I'm sure some of my political stances haven't helped authorities' opinion of me, and one reason why I love Kevin so much is because he's a revolutionary from behind bars. Tim was at one of the events that I've helped put together for Kevin. It was a live from death row event where Kevin got to call in from death row, and he said, if and when I get out, I'm going to be right on the streets with you. And he was talking to me. It was one of the most humbling moments of my life. Yeah, and so that call is listened to by the prison, and who knows who else. So it's not the first time something like that's happened to me or Tim or Glenn or people of the like. So yeah, it is what it is. That I was telling a friend of mine yesterday. When I was in D.C. Trying to help Leonard Peltier a couple years ago, a friend and I, Jen Deerenwater, who's been on this network, People's Radio United, on Who's Culture before, and
she's been on this show before.
She should be on the show. I'm actually going to ask her. We did an experiment because I had to look at the Andrew Jackson statue for about 2 months, and it drove me crazy. Jackson, if you don't know who Andrew Jackson is, he was president of the United States in the early 19th century, and he created the Trail of Tears, one of the greatest acts of genocide in the history of the world. And he has a statue right next to the White House. So I got the idea of, let's make a petition to get an Adolf Hitler statue up on next to the White House. We got 5 people to sign it in an hour. Had I had that petition out for the entire time that I was in D.C. at the White House, who knows how many signatures we would have gotten. But Jen was documenting the experiment and Facebook Live the whole thing. And when she pushed end broadcast and upload, it was gone. So the authorities did not want anybody to see that. So this stuff is sadly normal. I miss talking to Kevin. I worry about him all the time. Pray for him. So please write to Kevin.
Yeah, that sucks. They shouldn't have done that. If you didn't do anything violent or threatening and you're sending letters, that's ridiculous. But this government is ridiculous, so makes sense.
There you go.
Is his mailing address posted anywhere out there? People can find it?
Yeah.
I'm going to retweet it right now. That way.
All right.
And I'll add your name to it. That way you can tweet it to your followers.
Yeah, People's Radio, too, if you can.
Will do.
So, yeah, and as far as People's Radio, what we're doing is what we always do, a Friday show and sometimes other shows and videos and stuff. So, I don't know. If you get a message, if you have notifications on, you'll know. If you don't, you'll be surprised. I'm trying to find today's topics. Here we are. So, yeah, you ready to get into number 1?
Let's do it.
Okay, number 1 is last Tuesday night, there was a Los Angeles Police Commission meeting about homelessness. There were people standing up for homelessness, for homeless citizens, and there were people there supporting police abuse and the removal of homeless people from their rich white neighborhoods. What can be done to raise awareness for people without homes who are just as important as people with homes? I think I wrote this wrong. What can be done to raise awareness that people without homes are just as important as people with homes, and what can each of us do to help with the homeless situation in our own cities? So yeah, it was streamed by PM Beers. I was watching it because it was really local to where I live, and it was really weird. They had people that they had come in that the police invited, and they got there early and they got the best seats, and they told all the other activists that it started like a half an hour later. Well, they told her it started on time, but they told them it wouldn't open for half an hour later, so they let all these white rich people in. And these people all went up and were like apologizing for people cursing at police or whatever, and they were saying how great the police are. They wanted to get for the police were great because they're removing homeless people from these rich white neighborhoods. And one lady went up and said, most of the homeless people don't want our help, but out of the people who do, we've helped 50% of them.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I can
One out of
imagine,
two?
That's what I'm saying. I can imagine how these people go to them, because there's other cities like Claremont that's a rich white city, and they bring vans in and give the homeless people lunch as they drive them off to the next city to drop them off to get them out of their city. Police were talking about throwing the homeless people's belongings in hefty bags and talking, we cleaned up so many hundreds of pounds of trash. And this is these people's life, this is all they have, this is everything they have, and they're like, it's trash. As they take things from them. It's really horrible, man. And then you had people in there writing, like, saying, yeah, no, you guys can't be just beating up homeless people, can't be just kicking them off their people just like you or me. But it seems like a lot of these people in a lot of these communities don't believe that. They're like, we're the citizens, we're the ones that have homes, so we're more important than everybody. We need to get these scum off our streets. And that's a disgusting stance to take. Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
I'm just curious. All these supporters of law enforcement, etc., they wouldn't happen to be from one racial demographic, would they?
Well, the first woman who walked up was a black girl who looked like a college student. She was younger, and she was like, "Thank you guys for having the meeting here. It means so much that I can be here." She didn't say anything, but she thanked the police profusely, and that bothered me. Then, right
so her
after
dad's a cop.
Maybe, I don't know. But then right after her, there was a rush of white people, and all of them were Pacific Palisades, not Beverly Hills, Brentwood, all these richer white areas. And they couldn't. I've never had a bad experience with the police. I don't know what these people are talking about. like they're just delusional. One guy
Imagine
went up there.
that.
Yeah, one guy went up there and he was going off about leaf blowers and how he can't have leaf blowers in this thing. And somebody brought up like, yeah, why is that? Because Mexican people run leaf blowers generally. You don't want them in your neighborhood either. He was going into how leaf blowers have chemicals and they need to ban leaf blowers and blah, blah, blah.
I think this guy confused an LAPD meeting with a city council meeting.
Well, he said the police have an ordinance where they're supposed to give tickets and fine people for leaf blowers. He don't want people arrested. He just wanted them to not be leaf blowing.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a mixed bag. There's some really wacky people. There's one dude that goes in there. He looks Latino. I don't know what he is. But he has a big American flag hanging off his backpack. He goes like every week, or every time I've seen these in different places. And he tries to use the N-word and every kind of disparaging word for a race you can use. He tries to use them as much as possible. And goes on and on and on. Like, I'm thinking if I was there, I want to catch this fool outside and lay some hands on him,
Yeah.
But yeah, then at the end he goes, Trump, 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 Trump. And then walks off. Yeah, there it is. So
Yeah.
he's one of the Latinos for Trump, I guess, which, after all, the people that don't have legal status are gone. Who do you think they're looking at next?
Well, it's just another group similar to capos for Nazism.
Yeah, but look, we've talked about that before. Right now, let's stick with the homeless thing. But I just think, because, that's a whole tangent that'll take another hour.
True, true. But
But
I mean, when you say, what can people do? Well, this is the issue. Despite homelessness being an obvious issue, not just in the U.S., but in the Western world, and it's been around for, a couple decades where it's been so noticeable, and that, I mean, this problem has been around for a very long time, but this is one of the things that the ability of everybody to have a goddamn video camera in their back pocket, this is much, much more than it used to be available to see and, document and tabulate all that shit. This is one of the downsides of technology. Government hates that people can actually record stuff and prove them full of shit.
well, yeah, I mean, like I said, PM Beers was live streaming the meeting. We didn't have that technology a long time ago, and
Yeah.
you guys should follow her. She does all these awesome live streams for meetings. But the thing is, you're right. Everyone has phones on them. But the thing I'm worried about now is, so say you film a police beating a homeless person. You're going to have a group of people in these richer neighborhoods will be like, well, he deserved it. I mean, they do it already. Our next topic, we're going to talk about how people just go crazy for the police. But I mean, they're throwing their stuff away. Well, it's trash in our community. We can't have it all over. Where do you want them to put it? Your stuff's all over your house or your apartment or wherever you live. They don't have that. So it's all over where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's just a result of they only have one fucking paradigm to look at everything, and that's dollars and cents. And if I have a dime more than this guy, well, then I'm better than him. That's the mentality.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I don't remember, I think it was called the LA Burrito Project or something. But anyway, there's this dude on Twitter, I think his name is Adam Life is Funny. I'll check it before the end of the show. But there was a whole bunch of people, and they went, and they were all, they had like a whole assembly line. I was helping, and like they put the tortillas on, heated up, and then they put the beans and the cheese and everything, and they built burritos, and they built like, I don't know, 80 or a whole crap load of them, man, like lots of them. Not enough, obviously, because there's a lot of homeless people, but they did what they could do. It was a lot of burritos, just bags and bags, and then they had all this water, and they had a big cart, and then we went and handed them out, and the people were so happy. They were waiting and expecting it. Like, I had just found out that they were doing this, and it was pretty cool, but it's such a small thing. Like, if everyone could be doing stuff like that on small scales, it would be better. Or a fewer people on large scales at it, like something has to be done. Like these are people just like you, just like anybody listening here, anyone who will listen. You don't know what's going to happen. What happens if your job downsizes? A company goes out of business. The CEO gets shot, and they switch some new person that wants to change everything. I mean, random stuff could happen. You know what I mean? You can get injured or you can't work anymore. And if your job doesn't have a bunch of, good disability insurance and stuff, guess where y'all going to be? You're going to be homeless. You're going to be living on the streets. And these people that are scum, you're going to be one of them. So these people don't understand. And yeah, they might have a bigger buffer living in Brentwood or Pacific Palisades or Malibu with all that money. But you never know. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? You can get mentally ill and end up homeless. There's so many different ways. And it's getting easier and easier to where they're handing off everything to these corporations and banks and the rich.
But you can be mentally ill and get into the White House, apparently. So what's it all about? Money.
Well, yeah, but to do that, you have to be born inheriting $200 million.
To blow, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying just average people, man. Any one of us could be homeless. Maybe not Glenny's in Canada. They have different safety nets, maybe. But anyone in the United States here, we can all be homeless like within a month or less. It could just happen.
But that's too real, man. People don't want to think about that.
They need to think about that because the person that you're shunning on the street and walking over and saying, I'm so much better than you. I hope the police beat you or kill you and rob you of all your stuff because you're so worthless. You could be that worthless person. You know what I mean? And then someone does that to you. How are you going to feel? Oh, it won't be me. It won't be me. I don't think any one of these people thought, oh, I'm going to be the homeless. I'm going to be living on the streets next year. That's my whole goal. I don't think that was in their plans. I don't think anybody says poverty's my choice. I think it's circumstances. And then the people are going to say, oh, drugs, drugs, drugs. And here's the thing. You're out on these streets. You have no way to come up. You try. Everything goes wrong. Mental illness sets in. What are you going to do to calm yourself down? What are you going to do to try to just numb yourself from the reality of your situation? Might be drugs. And then where are you at? You're just like the people you hate. You become one of them. And now you're sitting there saying, what the hell? Why are people treating me like this? Because that's how you were, and that's how other people are. It's terrifying, man.
Oh, you see that with the opioid crisis. White people in poor neighborhoods, they become poor. They become addicted to a hardcore drug like that, and then they become homeless. And like you said, they start blaming, and they don't want to sink in to that level, even though class-wise they have sadly fallen to that level. So you look at Trump. Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll blame the Mexicans. We'll blame the Black Lives Matter because they're just yelling and throwing cars like monkeys. We'll blame women.
Wait! Someone threw a car?
This is how far they take the exageration.
I was like, wow, I want to see that. I want to be that car throwing person in the street.
If Huey Newton could throw a car, he would have done it. Yeah.
Man, you throw a car in the police line, it's a whole new kind of power. They fear you then. I want to be that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Brother Transformer.
Yeah, you'll see that in Black Panther too.
Incredible Hulk.
But you see how that happens. Poor white folks will blame the people that are on their in their social class, on that social level. They'll blame black folks. They'll blame Mexicans. They'll blame people of color. They'll blame women for wanting to be paid the same. They'll blame transgender people for living. It's ISIS's fault. It's the most extravagant concoctions of excuses.
Isn't that an amazing setup? That they got everybody blaming everybody except for the people responsible for the situation, which is our government, our politicians, and our billionaires and rich CEOs. Oh, here's another thing. I think his name is Sobroff or something. There's this billionaire on the Citizens Police Commission board.
Thanks.
And he always comes wearing all this pro-police stuff. Like, why would you have a billionaire representing the citizens? I think they said there's like a couple dozen billionaires in California, but you represent all the citizens of California. That doesn't make sense to me. There should be no billionaires on anything that has to do to represent the people.
That right there just tells the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before. It should be illegal to be a billionaire.
Well, the issue is that in a place like LA County, a seat on that board, it's obviously for sale.
Of course.
So, like what you guys just said there, this is why I think racism is being encouraged. Because the one thing it does in the big picture is it divides the real war, which is a class war. And like you said, all these crackers getting their coal mining jobs taken away forever and all this other stuff, minimum wage jobs forever, no support. Without racism, all these poor people just might get together and have a little bit of a Bastille Day. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that's what I've been screaming forever. We need to do
Yeah, but
overthrow this thing and take it over, make it our own, and make it for everybody.
but as long as Huckleberry Finn believes that he's not that bad because he's white, what
Yeah,
are you gonna do?
it works. It works in every. It's not just the white people, man. They got Latino people separated over who's quote unquote illegal and legal. They have black people hating Mexican people, Mexican people hating black people. They have white people hating poor
Yeah,
white people. I mean, it's so sick and so divided how everyone hates everyone.
no,
Everyone
I get
blames
that.
everyone, and
I
it's
get that. I
it's
mean, that's
so
the way.
intentional.
Yeah, but that's going to work within the playground. That's going to work. But what I'm saying is, go to the end of this term of Trump. How many millions more dumb, white, high school graduate maximum people are now going to be officially living in poverty than when he got there? They are the biggest class to decline. That's why you have to make them specifically feel like they're better as they get fucked.
Yeah, I just think everyone needs to wake up, and all the people that's not rich should just unite and, like we said, take this back. Well, we never had it, but we need to take it.
Well, there's two things that was hit on that I think can speak to the whole issue and kind of sum it up. One, when you said 12 billionaires in California. California is a big state. It's giant. Okay. 12's not a lot of people.
Was that the number 12? I thought it was a couple dozen, but it might have been 12.
Well, whatever. Less than 100 is not a big number. For that few amount of people, to control the state's wealth is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's utterly ridiculous. It's dangerous and it's ridiculous. It's so dangerous and ridiculous that you had one of these billionaires try to further carve up California, which is all native land, into 3 different states.
Yep.
I can't remember the names. One was like Northern California, one was Central California, something like that. Like, that's what they did to Sudan. There's a South Sudan and Sudan, the mainland. Colonization. That's at the core of this, colonization and capitalism. Europe was on its knees before they started enslaving my people and killing native people and taking their land. Europe was on its knees. Okay. Feudalism was one of the dumbest ideas in the history of humanity, and Europe was going to pay for it. But then they went, you know what? We don't want to pay. We don't want to deal with this problem. We don't want Europe to die off. I have an idea. Let's go steal land and get people to work for free. And so we have capitalism. You can't separate, and you said it, Glenn. You can't separate classism and racism. You can't separate capitalism and racism. They're tied at the hip. They're married. They got married a long time ago.
Yeah.
Most poor people are people of color. As far as the rates go. I spoke about Kevin Cooper in the beginning, one of the most intelligent people I've ever come across. He said it himself. One thing people on death row have in common is they're all, well, quoting him, we're all poor. We are all poor. Okay, so those people are being put in horrible situations. A lot of black folks. There's nearly as many black people on death row than white people in the country. There's more black people on death row than white people in California, even though I think there's like 3 or 4 million black people around 20 million white people. So you're put in a bad situation when you're born. It's almost impossible to get out of it, and so often, you go down a bad path. And whether it's one horrible, disgusting decision, or it's just being black, like Kevin Cooper, this is what happens. And we have a topic later about we have the Hurricane Florence, and we have Hurricane Irma, what happened in Puerto Rico. You can tie poverty and racism into natural, well, I'll call them unnatural disasters because of climate change. The majority of victims to these unnatural disasters are people of color and poor people. Okay? So this is not something that is ripping Scotland apart. This is not something that is ripping Luxembourg apart. This is something that's ripping Afghanistan apart, or ripping India apart, or obviously Puerto Rico. So you look at how this happens. Well, how does it? Well, in my mind, before I actually did the research, I was kind of afraid to do the research because I didn't want my paranoia to be proven correct. Paranoia being, hey, yeah, this is tied to racism, because it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a conspiracy theory. Like, what, you're some white man in the sky controlling the weather and just screwing over people of color. But if you actually break it down, people in Houston, people in North Carolina, Katrina, people in New Orleans, the white folks have more money. They can get out of there. We can't.
That's true, and some of the white people couldn't as well in some of those. Of course. And a lot of the Puerto Rican, most of them were suffering, and what does that lead to? Homelessness. Huh. A lot of people got relocated from Katrina. There were people brought out here to San Diego, to LA, to Texas. They scattered people all over the United States after that. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of homeless people because of that. People lost everything. And FEMA wasn't coming through fast enough. It wasn't doing anything. They were giving people trailers for a while, and they took the trailers. I don't know if y'all remember how horrible their people were being treated out there. And a lot of people, because of that, because of a natural disaster or unnatural, whatever you want to call it, are now homeless. And they will remain homeless a long time, some of them, maybe forever.
Some will just die. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
Puerto Rico, yeah.
I'm saying to the people who say, "Oh, I'll never be homeless." You don't know what's going to happen. I don't think those people thought things were going to happen like that. You know, you never know what's around the corner. So I would say, treat people the way you want to be treated when you're in this situation.
Yeah, there's a brilliant revolutionary and activist at J Beware on Twitter.
Beware. Yeah,
brilliant. And
we had him on our show before talking about we did an MNO talking about prison abolition.
That's true.
Awesome show.
And a big chunk of his work is abolishing the prison industrial complex, and he has done incredible work helping with the prison strikes across the country these past few weeks. He's also helped bring to light that there are a bunch of prisoners, innocent or guilty, but that shouldn't even matter in this case, that are stuck and have been left behind in North Carolina
and Florida.
And there's a lot of black people in both states. And you look at the statistics, is close to 40% of people incarcerated in the United States are innocent. Innocent. So can you imagine? And like you said, Tim, one bad string of luck, and you're homeless.
Well, let's look at this. The people in prisons that are innocent, you said, what did you say, 40%?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's look at the other 60%. A lot of those are for nonviolent crimes, or just because they were poor and couldn't handle some stuff. It's not like everyone in there is murderers, rapists, and
Of course not.
violent
No.
offenders. That's the minority. People don't understand that either.
Well, I just think if you're innocent, or if you got busted for weed, of all things,
Yep.
and you're
Yeah.
just sitting there in a prison cell in the southeast, going, all right, are we going to be able? Do we have any food left? Did they leave us any food? Who's in charge? Are we going to die? The TV is not working. We don't know what's happening. How did I get here? I mean, the effect on the brain
Yeah.
that can have.
And
I mean,
that's a
especially-
common. This isn't the first time they've done that, Nolan. This has
Of course
been
not.
this has happened since Katrina.
Happened
Well,
during, yeah.
Maybe
During-
before
Died.
Katrina. I don't know about tragedies really before that and how the prisoners are treated. But I know in Katrina they were leaving people, and eventually they were like, "Wait, should we let them go or leave them locked up?" We don't know. It's ridiculous. These are human beings, and like I
Well,
said,
there's-
most of them haven't done anything that's so heinous that they should even be there. You know what I mean?
Well,
Well-
it's like the smallpox. Granted, some of that was forced. White folks and white power, white society, they see something like this on the horizon, or they see the possibility of something like this, Hurricane Florence, and they go, huh, well, that's a bonus. A bunch of them will die in prison when that hurricane hits. That's great. Just go back in time. Oh,
Yeah,
smallpox.
these
Brilliant. Great.
these same Blue Lives Matter, Trump supported, the same people from Brentwood and Palisades and Malibu that were all at this thing that hate others. They're the ones that would support a prison full of people dying because they were like, oh, they're all scum.
Right.
But
Well,
a lot of these same people might have a kid in there for selling weed or for something. You know what I mean?
and those are the ones who are going to stay in their house and not go to the barbecue that weekend.
It's just,
They don't speak up. They don't go against all their fucking idiot friends. That's how they deal with it. And just while I got the floor for a second, this whole thing about guards abandoning facilities and leaving everybody locked up to fend for themselves, that kind of reminds me of another situation like that in the mid-40s. I believe it was in Germany.
yeah.
Rather parallel, in my view.
Yeah, we say every week we're heading toward, well, we're in fascism. We're not heading toward it. We're heading toward full-on authoritarian, lock you down fascism if things don't change. If y'all people don't get out in the streets and fight this, it's gonna be over. Game over.
But see,
yeah.
that's the problem. You have a completely indoctrinated society of any color. I saw some Twitter user today, and it got about 400 or 500 retweets. I believe they were black, and they said something nice about Cynthia Nixon, who endorsed Hillary Clinton for president. She believes that, and she's publicly said this, that black people's reparations should be marijuana. Even though we're owed
Who is this?
$100 trillion.
Isn't she running for some kind of?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
Governor
a
of New York.
politician, right?
New York. Well, she's a TV star turned politician. Where have you seen this before? But yes, he said black people should have weed for reparations, and that'll do it. That's it. Even though we're owed $100 trillion in just the free labor, not the pain and anguish we still suffer. But this black person thanked Cynthia Nixon. Thanked Cynthia Nixon. Thanked the racist because, well, she's better than the other racists. Whether it's poverty, whether it's racism, sexism, most people are apathetic. They, don't care. I had a friend I knew for 15 years. I went to his wedding. I had him in my house probably hundreds of times. He was white, and I thought everything checked out. Something changed for one. He started watching a lot of Bill Maher, started going on Reddit a lot, and married a woman whose father is a military contractor. So it's a perfect trio of institutional racism there. Anyways, so he said to me one day, and this is like the end of our friendship here, he goes, look, I'm white, okay? I don't care if one of you gets killed by the police. It's not going to happen to me, so I don't care. And
He said that?
Oh, it gets worse. I will try to keep this short, but it gets worse. Then he goes, hey, I'm not a woman. I don't care about sexism, okay? Some people who know me personally and some people who follow me on Twitter know the story of my cousin Allison. She was run over by a car. A white lady tried to kill her. My cousin died last year. She was in a coma-like state for almost 15 years. I'll always call it murder because eventually the white lady got a wish. My cousin passed away. Anyways, so she was just in a very limited state for about 15 years, and my friend knew about this. And he said in that moment, he said, hey, those machines keeping your cousin alive, the white people made those machines.
What was he just trolling you in the worst way?
It was some of the worst stuff I've ever heard. And this is what I try to tell people. Look, yes, the conservatives, the alt-right, the far-right, whatever you want to call them, yeah, on the surface, they're absolutely disgusting. In terms of, policy, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be worse than the Democrats, the left. But racism comes from the left and the right and the center. If you're talking about white politics in general, you're going to have racism. But he went further. He said that if we get, and he's talking about America, if we get, he's a Bernie supporter, by the way, if we get in another war with a Middle Eastern country, we should nuke the entire Middle East. Nuclear weapons. Just pound the hell out of the Middle East and kill everybody. So that's like 1 billion people,
That's how they don't that's how a lot of people in this country think. They don't care. It's not them and they don't care. But yeah, we've been on a huge tangent, as Glenn said. We need to roll back to the homeless thing, I think. Real quick. So back. I think the last question we need to go over real quick so we can move on is, what can everyone do to help with the homeless situation, to help end it if possible, or help the people that are in it right now?
Well, I got some bad news for you. Sitting at your keyboard ain't going to change shit. Get out there.
Typing the hashtag resist doesn't fix everything.
Yeah,
God.
Like I said, there's a burrito thing. There's you can make sandwiches. You can make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and go hand them out to people. Take bananas and fruit and give it out to people. Take water bottles when it's hot. Blankets. Some people tie jackets around poles and leave them when it's cold. I don't know, ideas, Glenn?
That right there is something that needs to be done. My mother taught me that. There was one specific lady blocks from our house that would always stay in the same area. And I grew up in a pretty nice area in Los Angeles. And she'd always give her some money or actually buy her some food. And it instilled in me, that's a person. Just doesn't have any money. That's the only difference. Okay. So that needs to be done by people when we can.
Yeah, teaching your kids right would be
a first and foremost thing. Just handing out food, handing out water when it's hot, etc. Like you said. But the big picture, that's the billion. That was the $64,000 question. People need to be honest. People need to read. read the right things, actually just scroll back and just read basic history of how we came to be in this moment of September 14th, 2018. How did America come to be America? Where did it come from? Whose land is it really? What political structures, what social values, moral values were here before Europeans came? You talk about something like poverty. Native people didn't believe in money. They didn't have money. Money wasn't really a thing here. Okay, so you talk about homelessness and poverty. It's like, what? No, wait, what's that? If someone was in trouble, if their house, got hit.
Yeah,
by
like everyone needs
whatever.
everyone needs to help everybody. That's Ubuntu kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, but other people in the community would come over and help that person or help that family, and get their life back on track. Instead, you have the top, and there wasn't really some of the top other than just people in government here. You have in my society the top will take from the bottom, so you already have virtually nothing, and that little that you have left is then taken away. Like you said, I don't know, at the beginning of the show, before the show, the police kicking down tents, taking food, ruining, water supplies and whatnot of the homeless. People need to be honest. People need to realize what this is that we're living in, what kind of society. And Glenn said it, but whiteness is toxic. And let me be clear, because I've just repeat myself 100 times so that I don't get a call from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Whiteness is toxic, not white people. Whiteness is a creation of white folks. This racial structure, shouldn't exist. I shouldn't be called black.
Nolan, Nolan, we're going off topic again.
Well, let me. I'll
hurry up and finish, because we're going to run out of time for the whole show and not get to nothing else.
I'll wrap up.
Because the question was, how can we help homeless people?
Well, no. Let me go back to that.
Bring it back.
Okay. We need to just be honest about where we're living and what the reality is and how this reality came to be. Because if we keep going, well, this country was founded by Washington and Jefferson, and magical things happened in Manifest Destiny and the Louisiana Purchase, blah, 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 then we're not going to get anywhere. Because those same people, there's the left or the right, especially someone like Trump supporters, like, yeah, poverty, no, it's your fault. Freaking one of Trump's cabinet members, Ben Carson. Poverty is on the plate of the person who is in poverty. It's their fault. They can improve their lives if they wanted to, which is complete BS. Anybody who studies poverty will tell you that's BS. So just be honest about what the heck's going on, and let's get somewhere instead of just having arguments about facts. What the sky is red, it's not blue. Well, no.
That's never going to change. So like I would say, just get out there and do what you can and help everybody you can. And if everybody's doing something, or a lot of people are doing something, it's better than a few people.
No, but if we want poverty to end, that's what needs to happen. And I'll just finish for 10 seconds. People of color have to lead the charge, because white folks aren't going to do it. The same with women. Men aren't going to do it. So it's sexism, poverty, same thing. It's all tied to white supremacy.
Everything's
go out and kill it.
Everything's tied to white supremacy and capitalism and racism and all these things. But I'm like, we can do things to help the situation we're in now while we're doing that on a bigger scale in the background.
Yeah.
So just do what you can. We got to move on, because we have 2 more topics and we have like 30 more minutes. So yeah, last week we touched on a developing story about a white woman. What was her name? Amber Geiger, who worked as an off-duty Texas police officer. She walked into a black man's home named Botham Jeans and murdered him. But by being a cop and claiming she was in the wrong apartment by accident, she seems to have been given a lighter manslaughter charges rather than murder. She was given time a couple of days before she got arrested to get her story straight. They didn't want to give up her identity, and now more details are becoming available. So we're going to talk about the shit they let police get away with. But yeah, that's just outrageous. We touched on it last week. It happened like the day before, and we just kind of read it on Twitter while the show was happening. And it's like she walks in this guy's house, kills him. If that was anybody else, their picture would be all over on the paper. You know, local newspapers, local news story. They'd be locked up right there, maybe denied bail. But since she's a cop
And white.
she get cop for it doesn't even matter, but white cop is extra special. But I'm saying,
Oh yeah.
she walks in there and she gets 2 days to go over her story before they give her lighter manslaughter charges. And then they get a warrant to search the guy's house, not the murderer. They go search the guy she kills house. Like, who does that? That's
Every cop and
it's like
police department.
like someone goes and murders somebody, and then they're like, oh, let's go search the murdered guy here. That's crazy. You search the murderer's house.
This is no different than when... No, this is no different than when a government goes after somebody like Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein. They all have the red velvet robe. They all have a copy of Mein Kampf. They all have kiddie porn. It's just creating reality to fit their story that's coming. That's all it is.
Oh, he had worse than all that. He had reefer.
Marijuana. He's black. That's it. Kevin Cooper, Botham Jeans, Ion.
Meanwhile, you look at the mugshot of this cop without a name. I thought it was some meth whore from Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's all about this black guy in his place who was killed because this woman flipped out. And she has a badge and a gun. Awesome. That's a whole nother subject. What is this airhead doing with a badge and a gun?
Well, for one, there is a literal IQ quota for American police officers.
Yeah, she certainly didn't break that threshhold. That's obvious.
Oh, they keep them dumb on purpose.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, you just read the information.
There's been a lawsuit over in New York, and the police won. They don't have to hire smart people because they want dumb people who will do whatever they're told without thinking. And they blatantly said that. And the judge said, you can hire whoever you want.
Well, it's always the same with the victim complex. I mean, I wouldn't use the word whore because that's one of the first words that comes out of a man's mouth, and talking about disparaging remarks about a woman. Or, crazy woman, she's on a period, something like that. But
okay, she looked like a tweaker sex worker. Was that better?
I'll use just another snow demon cop. But she is a cop who's not very smart, which is the norm. So she's just an American cop. And you look at the manufactured reality you spoke on, Glenn. I mean, I just typed in Botham Jeans on Google, and the first 3 stories all blame
about the weed.
Well, one of them's about the weed. Another, they're all smearing him.
Yep.
One's Fox News. Okay.
Remember Philando Castile, who did everything right. He smoked weed, so he had to die.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's the go-to for him all the time. The weed. We had to kill him. He had weed.
Evidence sheds light on Botham Jeans slaying supporters smear campaign. The supporter. Oh yeah, it's just crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. A conspiracy. It's just the same thing. And one thing that annoys me, and Brother Botham, his life matters as much as any other black person who's been taken from us for the last 500 years. But we get killed every single day, all over the country, in you name it, so many different ways. Whether it is poverty, never makes the news. When we get killed by a cop, it rarely makes the national news anyways. Whether it's having lead poisoning in Flint or Chicago or Baltimore, or the Navajo Dene Nation, if we're talking about my native brothers and sisters. But yes, we should talk about Botham Jean a lot, but we should also talk about the many other people of color, especially black and native, because we're killed by cops more than anybody. Two of us.
Well, he was
we
black.
Just assume. Yes.
Okay.
We just assume, and there's that indoctrination that this is a once a month thing, or this is it's not. Things aren't that bad, but darn, there's still racism. This is a daily thing. This has been happening for 5 centuries on many different continents.
Multiple times a day.
Yes, we are slaves, for God's sake, in Libya. We are being forced to march 13,000 of us across the Africa in horrible heat. Just like it's like the Trail of Tears, in Africa. This had all over Haiti. Poverty, for goodness sake. So this is daily, all over the world. Africa, Aborigines. I'm sorry, Australia, Aborigines, New Zealand.
Yeah, but don't you think like we need to end here before we can go elsewhere? Because we can't even stop it here.
Well, yeah, if
we can't even stop it in our own backyard.
Oh,
we can't. How are we gonna?
Like if you live in Australia, you start there, obviously. But I'm just saying, we need to be more aware that this is daily. Botham Jean is a daily occurrence. Okay, I go on like a long line of just listing names, but then I get annoyed at myself for forgetting one or two.
But the thing here is about the cops' power. Like they have these unions. I mean, we have to take that power from them somehow. They have way too much power. She's off duty. She's obviously on something. Whether you want to call her a tweaker or not, that she looked like one. I kind of agree with Glenn on that. But something was wrong with her to go. You go home every night. You know what I mean? Working 15-hour shift. What does that mean? A lot of people work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and don't sleep at all. They don't go into the wrong apartment and murder somebody. That doesn't happen. And then if they did, they wouldn't be out of jail and getting light charges.
But if that was a thing, I mean, goodness gracious, black people would be killing white people all over the country. All the jobs that we have to work and the long hours, for goodness sake.
I would volunteer for a double shift if I get away with capping some asshole.
That's what I'm saying. Look at Latino people. There's people that have to work so much because they get paid less. Like companies exploit labor. I mean, they always say, "Oh, these illegals and blah blah blah," but immigrants come and they get exploited. They get paid way less than everybody else.
I haven't seen any details. What exactly are her duties? What did she do for 15 hours? Sit on her ass?
Probably sat in a police car, or maybe she was protecting Nazis at a rally. We don't know.
Or maybe she was inside a precinct station doing next to fuck all. I mean, this is part of the issue. We have to get the white judge to approve a search warrant on the innocent victim of a homicide So we can find marijuana to completely change the impression of the victim, but yet all we say about the known assailant is that they worked a really long shift. Well, doing what? If it's so important to know that this guy had 10 grams of smoke in his place where he was murdered, then why not tell us what this dipshit does for a living?
Well, yeah, I mean, but going by LAPD and Culver City PD and these cops around here, they spend a good few hours a day standing at 7-Eleven talking to each other, laughing out of their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You know, so she could have been doing that, man. She could have been standing around talking to all the other pigs.
Well,
that's important work right there. Don't knock it.
I'll say in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter what she was doing because it's all a narrative. I mean, the main picture and description of Botham Jeans, if you type his name into Google on that right-hand side, and you have the description of whatever you looked up, he's in a suit. The description of him in terms of what his occupation is, business person. So that whole narrative, especially from really the right, hey, you guys aren't working. You're sitting on your behind on the stoop, smoking crack.
Wow.
You're getting arrested every 5 minutes. Your father's gone. Blah blah blah. Well, wait a minute. Business person. He's a productive member of society. He's not harming anybody. Doesn't matter.
Wait a minute.
Never matters.
That'll never be mentioned on media coverage.
He was a black business person with marijuana. That makes him dangerous. If he was a white business person that makes expensive cars and flamethrowers and went on YouTube and smoked weed, then he shouldn't be shot, maybe, right?
Well, I'll give you an example. There was a gentleman by the name, I think it was Daniel Shaver. White dude got killed by the cops brutally. I tweeted out a picture of him, and just to remember him with his name and everything. Within the same time period, there was I think it's 19-year-old a native dude, killed by the cops. Just made up a reason. He didn't pay $100 bail. He didn't have any money. He's working a job. What literally happened? He was working a job to pay the fine. So I was tweeting that every day, retweeting it. The same tweet. I tweet the Daniel Shaver thing once. It got 500-600 retweets. Kyle Grabbing Bear, I keep retweeting it. I don't think it has 100. Maybe it has right now 100 retweets. I'm not going to keep naming people. Again, I'm going to forget. But it just doesn't. It doesn't matter that these narratives they'll put out, and then also what we do in our lives. We could be a bad person who hurts people. They'll kill us. We could be the nicest, gentlest person you ever meet who only helps people. They'll kill us. It doesn't make a damn...
We need a database on police.
Well, we had one.
No, we need something where, every cop we know, everything he's been written up for, every murder he has, every time he's beaten somebody, every time he's been caught doing something, we need to know what they're doing like they think they know what we're doing. Because it's to the point of ridiculous. They're murdering people left and right. They always get away with it.
Yeah, well, that did happen in 2012, but, some people ended up in prison for that.
Yeah, but I'm saying they need that should be the law. They shouldn't protect cops the way they do.
Never going to happen. Never going to happen.
Well, it's like poverty. You have to get to the root of the problem. Police force, the former slave and quote-unquote Indian patrols, the reason they were created was to
protect whitey.
Protect whitey, keep us enslaved, continue to kill off the kill off the native population, and they're still doing that to this day. And the prison industrial complex is just modern slavery, and native people are still getting killed left and right.
Yeah, but it's how long are we going to put up with it? That's all. That's what it matters. Everyone know. I mean, we've talked about that a million times on this show.
Yeah, but people.
When are the people going to get tired enough to stand up? Because that's what it is. We need to outnumber them in the streets in a big way with weapons. We need them to feel like we feel when they come around.
The good thing is, there will be more people of color than white people soon enough in this country. That does help a lot, but what needs to happen is the power structure needs to be attacked. When you talk about revolutions and regime changes, good or bad, the system is attacked. Okay, you're not singing "Kumbaya" on the streets. You're not trying to compromise and pass bipartisan bills or anything like that.
But Nolan, most people, whatever race they are, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're just like in the most case they'll talk about it once in a while. No one's out in these streets unless you, like we said before, unless you got these celebrities. Nobody's out here. We need to surround police stations. We need to be like, nah, y'all ain't even going to work today. How about that? Because there's a million people surrounded. You're not leaving. Mm-hmm. Well, whoever's on shift right now can't get out, and whoever needs to come on shift can't go on. Your cars aren't leaving the whole thing. We're just going to have a chill party in the streets, and y'all can't work today. You know, we need to shut down police stations. If there's crooked cops, we need cats following around with guns saying, like, you know, if we're not abolishing the police and we're going to watch you, we're going to treat you like you treat us. What has this guy done? Why have you pulled him over? We got cameras on you, but we also got whatever we got, and you're not going to hurt one of us today. You're not going to hurt a citizen. It needs to get to that point. Like, if no one else is doing something, we got to do it. And we outnumber them so much, man. People just need to wake up. People always get, you know, you go to school and they teach you about greatness in America and try to get a job and do this and that and just be a little stupid, brainless tool for the system. People need to wake up, and I don't care what race you are. You need to wake up and get out there and do something.
What's the line from Sister Act 2, Lauryn Hill and Whoopi Goldberg? You got to wake up and pay attention. And the sad thing is, the movement has stalled. Even after Mike Brown and Trayvon's killings, the movement has stalled, okay? And a lot of that is because of infiltration by the Democratic Party and the DNC. You can even look at their own paperwork for that. And the fact that Trump has gotten his fan base, you know, white supremacists to come out, you know, the woodwork. It's scary. It's scary for most people to go, whoa, you know, if I start fighting and actually among compromising about it, geez, I could be killed.
We need to, yeah. So what? That's the way it goes sometimes. But we need to say, hey, we're the people. We're not Democrats or Republicans. We're the people. We can abandon those two things and let them die off and go where they need to go in the dirt. Because Democrats and Republicans are the problem. They're not the solution. Neither one's going to help us. Neither one's going to save us. We need to unite as people and do what we got to do. And if it means people dying, it means people dying. It means whatever it means. That's what it got to mean. Because if we want future people to be free, it's got to start somewhere, man.
We're dying. That's the thing I try to say a lot.
We're dying anyway.
Yep.
Freaking Botham Jeans. Is he living?
Yeah. What the fuck did he? Yeah. What the fuck did he do wrong? And he's dead. So you're still going to sit on your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Because they're selfish and whatever. But anyway.
Trump. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just running out of time now because we keep going on these tangents. And I knew it. I said we got to do a show without tangents. And what happened? I said I know it's not going to. No, Nolan said it's not going to happen. And Glenn is the only one who hasn't gone on a tangent yet.
If you say so.
I could have predicted this. Oh man. Oh yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, I'm going off a tangent about tangents. One idiot. With 3,000 people dead and Puerto Rico still recovering from Hurricane Irma, another hurricane named Florence is approaching in North Carolina, the Carolinas. Trump is taking $10 million out of FEMA funds and giving it to ICE and Border Patrol. There's also speculation that when Florence hits, Trump will use the tragedy to try to fire Mueller in an attempt to end the investigation into his corruption, while most of the media will be covering the hurricane and the carnage, if there is any.
Well,
so it looks like it's downgraded a little, which is good news, but it's still going to do some damage.
Oh yeah, everything I saw this morning, watching American outlets. Oh yeah, it's bad. It's going to be bad, and we'll see how the reporting is for fatalities and infrastructure damage. This is in the lower 48. It's not, way across that big water like Puerto Rico was. So there should be less opportunity for them to bullshit right out of the gate. But as far as Trump taking money out of every other budget and giving it to ICE and Border Patrol, well, we see why that is. When you want to set up camps for 12,000 minors, takes a little bit of cash to run that, I guess.
Can I just say something? I think this is ridiculous. We already have. Why doesn't he put them all in like Trump? Mar-a-Lago. They're paying $700 a day for each kid. Put them somewhere nice.
No. There are people who have to be paid, man. You have to follow the script.
Well, Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that way it goes directly to Trump, and they get to live in some luxury while they're here. I think that's the way to do it.
No.
Trump Tower got some rooms.
If you pay the prison industrial complex, it will come back in spades. Don't worry.
Man, I think they need to be at some big hotels, like the $700 a night hotels, like the celebrities stay at.
No, that's where the Secret Service stays, and the government pays Trump directly.
No, if you're paying $700, they need to get that luxury. I'm sorry, but that should be demanded.
Okay.
Like they need maid service, they need towels, they need everything, man. They need like a soft, fluffy bed. Man, Glenn, go pay $700 a night to stay somewhere. Watch what you're gonna get.
Yeah, but it's sad. I mean, you're making a funny joke, but
I'm not making a joke. I'm saying that's the way it should be. If you're paying that much money,
yeah,
then give them what you pay for. I mean, why are you $700 to keep someone locked in a cage?
Yeah,
with the foil blanket. Nah.
What was that about tangents?
That's the real sad thing, though, about especially these kids.
Well, they're the perfect pawns to create income from. They have no one here to represent them.
Oh.
They're minors. Most of them probably don't speak English. What better prisoners could you have? Just send the bill.
It's ridiculous.
And some of these people, could be babies.
Yep.
And obviously babies can't talk or think that hard. So then if it's like growing up in a concentration camp or, gulag or whatever, and this is all you know.
Yep.
What are you going to think? Well, they give us food sometimes. They say that humans don't eat that much, and they make up stories to make sure the kids are, mentally stable or whatever,
And brainwashing. They're already doing that.
The thing that I want the Department of Justice to answer for me is this part of making sure MS-13 doesn't grow in the United States? This is fucking terrorist camps you're putting together. Because you're going to treat them like shit, and they're going to remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like everything else, this has been happening for so long. This has been happening since before the country started. Kids of color taken from their families, taken from their parents. I've had to stop reading slave narratives, slave stories written by slaves, about what happened in their life, because it gets to a point where, especially if it's a woman, oh yeah, my baby got sold and I never saw them again. Yeah, I just want to jump. I don't want to be on Earth, for a few minutes after that. It's just that's too depressing.
The parents are saying the kids are acting funny when they do. If the few that do get reunited And people are speculating that they are brainwashing these kids. They're just feeding them all kinds of stuff about how horrible that our people are.
I mean, you. I'm gonna make it very short and simplistic. You have a big chunk of the American population, Latinos, Hispanics, and they all, they believe, most of them, that okay, well, yeah, I'm a Latino, a Hispanic. Latino is based in Europe, that came from Europe, and this is what it is. I live in America, and I'm Latino. I'm this new race of people. For goodness sake, if you are a colored person, a person of color, and you're Latino, Hispanic, quote unquote, you're indigenous, for goodness sake. So you talk about indoctrination, for goodness, geez. It just continues and continues and continues. This is why I preferred white women for the first, 16, 17 years of my life. Because every freaking model was, white woman, skinny white woman, skinny white woman. In these camps, that, by the way, Obama and Bush, ICE started in 2003. This stuff has been happening for a while. It's just being expanded because Trump is Trump. In these camps, my gosh, I can't even fathom what these kids are being taught. The things that's been happening for a while. A lot of these children were sexually abused in the past, or come from religious backgrounds, or very, sheltered sexually, growing up, not told much. So they have to change in front of the guards. There's cameras while they change. They're only given stale food. If they ask for water, they're not giving them water. All this horrible stuff. And this has been happening in 2011, 2005, 2012, 2015, 2018. It's like everything else. It continues and continues. And yet, if this resist, #resist, they are worried about protecting their genocidal democracy that is beating down these children, these native children, in these camps and all over the border, and they're not worried about the children. And no, we need to make sure this country stays together. And I am comfortable. And this hillbilly idol of the hillbillies, I should say, Trump, is gone. Because I love Mike Pence. Mike Pence is going to solve everything. This is how shallow.
Yeah, the Democrats are going toward Pence. No, Pence will be better than Trump.
But the Democrats don't even want to impeach Trump. They had a chance to impeach him. A bunch of Democrats, along with obviously most of the Republicans, they voted no to impeach him. Pelosi just said this late August, no, impeachment, no, we're not thinking about that.
That's all she knows. Impeachment is off the table.
She said the same thing with Bush.
So do y'all think that he's going to try to use the hurricanes?
Sure, he already is.
To get rid of Mueller and get rid of the investigation?
Oh.
It won't even matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. It's too late to get rid of Mueller. It spread to New York State. It spread to Virginia. It's too late. And, there are people commenting today with the big Manafort deal. All these Republicans saying, oh, my God, all the money that this is costing. Well, the Mueller investigation so far has cost $8.5 million.
That's not that much. Ken Starr was like $60 million just for the Lewinsky thing.
What Manafort surrendered today was $58 million.
There you go.
So this is a profitable enterprise. So, there's just nothing to stand on. It's too far down the road already. And, I don't think he's going to have time to put it together correctly to shut this down. And to tell you the truth, if he asked the Garden Gnome Sessions to do that now at this point, I'm not sure that Sessions would.
Yeah, he's trashed him. He's trashed him so much.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know what little old scared men like that are like.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
You give them a chance, and they'll get you.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so you think You think he's not even going to try to fire Mueller anymore? I don't think he's that smart.
I don't think it would help at this point, because that would send a huge signal. And there may be a lot of people out there, like whoever wrote this op-ed, if it's legitimate, people around Uday and Kusei. There's a lot of people that could walk into an FBI office and do a lot of damage. And if Trump makes a big move, a lot of those people might feel like, okay, there's my signal. It's time to turn.
Yeah.
I think
because I just want to finish, because it's the American 15 minutes of fame mentality. Nobody's going to jump on the cross unless the cameras are rolling.
Of course not.
Yeah, what do you think now, Glenn? Because before you said you didn't think Trump would be impeached.
Well, I don't think you can answer anything until the midterms are done.
Okay. So, yeah, that's true.
I can almost guarantee you he's not going to be kicked out.
Well, I mean, if the investigation goes, they won't impeach him, but I mean, I'm wondering if he'll have to resign or do something. Because he's a literal criminal, and is, it's going to be proven. But then he's got his supporters to be like, it doesn't matter. Whatever he does, it doesn't matter.
You had Bush start a war on false pretenses, and not that much time passed during his administration. Where people in the country, the citizens, go, "Wow, this war is BS."
Did you guys hear how they cleaned that up?
Get out of it.
All these years later, to say that Bush wasn't wrong in starting that war?
Who said that? John McCain's
I heard some Republicans recently talking. Guys like,
who cares?
Oh no, this is genius though. They're like, Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. You're like, no, he didn't. He had chemical gas.
No, he didn't.
That's what
whatever.
They're starting to say.
It's a dead cat issue. It doesn't matter. It's just a dead cat issue. It's about let's talk about something other than what a fucking idiot Trump is. That's all that is.
You think so? Because I'm just saying that if they can forgive that, they can forgive anything.
That's what I'm saying.
How many millions of people died because of Bush?
But it happened in the past. Nobody has a memory in the United States.
His father was president. And that guy's father donated a lot of money to the Nazis when the German Nazis were in power. You had his father's father, W's father, and then H.W.'s father is Prescott. W got 8 years. Nixon won, quote unquote, both elections. You had Lyndon Johnson bombing Vietnamese people every 5 seconds. He left. He probably would have won again. You had a Klan president, Mr. Truman. He was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, for goodness sake. He got 8 years. I think 9 because FDR died.
Trump's a member of the Ku Klux Klan, or his father was anyway.
Well, that's the whole thing. There's a Ron DeSantis who's going against Gilliam dude in Florida for governor. This guy is a neo-Nazi supporter, as far right as you can be. He was in Congress since 2013. There's just hundreds of people in Congress. Nobody kicked him out. No one tried to kick him out. There was no citizens uprising to kick him out. There's a congressman, Clay Higgins, who was a cop and also was in the army. But when he was a cop, right before he became a congressman, he publicly, on his Facebook page, I think a lot of people read Facebook, he said, "Hey, let's just kill these Muslims." He publicly called for the murder of American citizens, Muslims. He's a congressman. There is no outrage. This is America. Apathy lives freely and comfortably.
So Trump will just have 2 terms and go all the way through.
Yeah,
that was a long way around the show.
He's going to get another term. He's going to get another term.
Cool. We got to wrap this show now. Anything else we didn't go over? I think we went over everything. Hey, Glenn, you got a show tonight, right?
Oh, that's just a
No.
little
Yeah, so
wrestling prediction. That's all.
Yeah, it's a wrestling prediction show. So it's not as awesome as Tangent City over here.
No, we actually stick to the card
Oh,
because we got to do the matches. We can't say, okay, for the championship belt. Well, don't you think it'd be better if these people were in it? No, it doesn't work that way there.
You don't spend 20 minutes talking about how awesome like the Iron Sheik was or Junkyard Dog.
No, because it doesn't matter about the pay-per-view on Sunday.
It's on. Oh, it's not. I thought it was like a. I thought you were like talking about it while it was going on, like commentating.
Well, no, because anybody who will listen to us will also be watching it, so that doesn't make any sense.
That's true. I didn't think about that. So yeah, if you're into the wrestling, it's on. It's on. Where do they find it? Is it just on your regular The View Up Here channel, or is it on?
Yeah, it's on the BTR page.
Yeah. So if you're into wrestling, check out Canadian Glenn tonight, and if you're not into wrestling, check out Glenn next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific on The View Up Here, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have more tangents and less topics next week for you guys. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Nolan. Thank you, Glenn, and we'll talk to everyone next week.